Hi guys, thanks for watching this video. Actually, many people are asking me to do a video on creating Snowflake stored procedures using JavaScript. Actually, in Snowflake, we can write stored procedure in many languages like Java, JavaScript, Python, Scala, Snowflake scripting, which is nothing but SQL. Okay, so for writing stored procedures in Java, Python, Scala, we need Snowpark. But for writing stored procedures in JavaScript, we can directly write. And for writing stored procedures in Snowflake scripting, which is SQL, it's like any stored procedure in Oracle database or MySQL database, we write procedures generally, right? Like that, we can write by using cursors and looping statements. Okay. But many organizations nowadays are using JavaScript only because of so many features are available in JavaScript, right? So, and coming to the Snowflake scripting, which is nothing but SQL, was recently introduced. Writing procedures in SQL was recently introduced. Earlier, this option was not there. So, JavaScript is famous. So today we will see how to write a procedure in JavaScript. And meanwhile, so many people are asking me, so do we need to learn JavaScript and is it mandatory to learn JavaScript for learning Snowflake? No, I can say it's not required. It's not a mandatory. The only mandatory thing for learning Snowflake is SQL. If you have good idea on writing SQL statements, then that is more enough. Coming to the JavaScript, so you don't need to completely learn JavaScript, but you need to know some basics programming skills like how to declare variable, how to assigning values to variables, okay, conditional statements like if else, branching statements, looping statements like for while, okay, some basic things you need to learn, okay. So for learning JavaScript, it is very easy. Okay, for learning basics of JavaScript, you can just simply use some online compilers, online JavaScript compilers. For example, you can just go to Google. Okay, so type like JavaScript online compiler. Okay, so many links will come. You can open any of this. Okay, so you can open any of this like this. Okay, so for printing any statement in JavaScript, we use the statement called console.log. For example, so you can see this console.log and inside I'm typing welcome to program is. So you can see welcome to program is. Like that, you can easily learn JavaScript from this online compiler. Okay, so you just need to know how to declare variables. Okay, how to assign values to variables. Okay, and if else conditions, okay, based on some condition, okay, how to branch and how to loop some particular point of code if you want to loop. So how to loop in JavaScript by using for loop or while loop. Okay, it's very simple, I can say. Okay, so let's come back to our stored procedures. Okay, so what is the main benefits of writing stored procedures in Snowflake? So the main thing is procedure. We cannot implement the procedural logic by using simple SQL statements, right? So we can write many things by using SQL statements, but we cannot do some programming like branching and looping. Suppose if I want to implement if else conditions or looping, that means I want to execute a particular code multiple times. Okay, so there is no way in SQL. So for that we can go to stored procedures. And second one is error handling. Suppose for, while executing some of the SQL statements, if it is failing, okay, there is no mechanism by using SQL to log those errors into some different table or to know the errors, okay, or to handle the errors. So by using stored procedures we can easily handle the errors. Okay, and dynamically creating SQL statement and execute it. Okay, suppose I want to parameterize my code completely, and I want to pass the parameters from as input arguments are from somewhere else. Okay, by using stored procedures, we can easily uh, dynamically create a SQL statement by using the variables we are passing, and we can execute the statement. Okay, so these are some benefits of stored procedures. These are as general as we have stored procedures in other database languages like Oracle, MySQL, and other databases. Okay, and today we will see how to write a stored procedure in JavaScript to record the counts of a table from a given database and from a given schema on daily basis, and log errors if any. So today I want to write a stored procedure. Suppose I have some particular database and I have many schemas under the database, and I want to pass input as the database name and schema name as the input, and from that database I want to fetch the row count of each and every table, and I want to insert those record counts into a separate table, and I want to do this operation every day daily basis. I want to record the counts of all tables from the given schema. Okay, so for this inputs are for this stored procedure, the inputs are database name and schema name, and the output will be a table with the record counts of all tables from the given schema. Okay, so let's see how we can write a stored procedure in JavaScript very simply for this use case. Okay, so this is the code I had already written. I'll go through the code. Okay, suppose first of all I want to record all the table counts into one table, that is daily table counts. Okay, I am creating a table with this name under the database my own db under the public schema, and this is the table name, and the fields are like load time when we are loading that records into this table, and what is the database name and schema name. So these two are the inputs for our stored procedure, and I want to put them in the table as well. Database name, schema name, and the table name under the schema name, and that particular table count. So I want to maintain all these fields in this table. Okay, so simply the load time or load date, database name, schema name, table name, and the count of the table. Okay, and I want to create one more table like create a replace table, my own db public dot proc underscore error log. So suppose while executing the stored procedures, if I am facing any errors, if I want to log those errors into a separate table, okay, for that purpose I am creating a table like proc underscore error log. So here the column names are like procedure name that we are executing, and runtime when we are executing that procedure, and what is the error code we are getting, and what is the error message. Okay, this is the error description. This field will show you the actual error where the error is, and error line number, so in which line of the code we are getting the error. So we can log all these error details into this table. Okay, so I want to create these two tables. Okay, let's take this ddl. Okay, and go to Snowflake. Okay, so here I'm going to create my procedures in the schema called my procs. Okay, so this is the database I'm going to create the tables, and okay, I'll be creating these tables in not in the my procs. Okay, I'll be creating the tables in somewhere in public. So if we see here, so we mentioned public schema, right? So I want to create these two tables in the public schema. Okay, so let's take the ddl and just copy paste here. Okay, run this table, run this ddl. So the daily table counts successfully created, one table got created, and I'm running the second ddl. So this table as well created. Okay, so now let's go through the procedure. So how we are writing a procedure to take the to record the table counts on daily basis into some other table. Okay, so the syntax will be like this. Let me zoom it some more. Okay, so the procedure looks like this. Okay, create or replace procedure, Okay, and I'm creating this procedure under the schema myprocs. I have created a schema to maintain all the procedures, okay, in this database. So under myprocs schema, I'm creating this procedure, okay, and my procedure name is proc load table counts. Okay, procedure underscore load table counts, and my inputs are the database name, which is a varchar field, and schema name again, which is a varchar field. Okay, and at the end of the day, at the end of the procedure execution, I want to return a varchar. Okay, we'll see, we'll come to this later. Okay, but we have to specify the returns for mandatory. Okay, so when we are creating a procedure, there are some of the things we need to mention mandatory. One of that is returns. Okay, which data type we are going to return at the end of the procedure, that we have to mention. And the second one is language. So in which language we are going to write the stored procedure. So we can mention anything like Java, JavaScript, Python, or language space SQL, like this. If we want to write in Snowflake scripting, which is nothing but SQL, we have to mention like this, language SQL. Okay, for now we are going to write the procedure in JavaScript, right? That's why I mentioned language JavaScript. And there is one more thing we can mention, execute as caller. So what is meant by execute as a caller? Okay, so there are two things here, execute as owner of this procedure or execute as caller. So what is the difference? So whenever we create this procedure with some user or with some role, that person will become the owner of this procedure, and the statements we are going to execute inside this script. Okay, so by default the execute as owner will work. So if we don't mention execute as caller, okay, so it will, by default it will take as execute as owner. That means whoever created this procedure or whoever is the owner of this procedure, with that role or with that username, all the statements will be executed inside the procedure. Okay, otherwise, so suppose user A has created the procedure, or with role A the procedure was created. So whenever I don't mention this execute as caller, okay, all the statements like this select statement or the insert statements will be executed with that user or role A. Okay, but suppose user A created the procedure and user B is going to, or user or role B is going to execute the procedure, and if I want to execute with his permissions, B, whoever is calling the procedure, if I want to execute all these statements with his role or with his user ID, then we have to mention like execute as caller. Suppose if user B is executing this procedure, then all the statements will run with that role B. Okay, so that is the difference between execute as owner and execute as a caller. Okay, I'm just commenting this execute as a caller. So this double slash symbol we use for commenting in Snowflake. Okay, so if we don't mention this at all, then by default it will take execute as owner. Okay, so even though I'm commenting it, right, execute as caller, so this procedure and the inside statements will be executed as a owner. Okay, so this is about, so what are the things we have to mention while creating the procedure? Okay, create or replace procedure, the procedure name and the arguments we are going to pass while calling the procedure, and returns type, which data types we are going to return at the end of the day, and what is the language we are going to write, and with which with which role the procedure has to be executed. These things we have to mention. Okay, and the syntax will be like simply as. Okay, and we have to put all the code in double dollar symbols. Okay, if you see here, double dollar symbol, all the code should be in between the double dollar symbols. Okay, and let's see the code. So I am declaring a variable error, err equals to empty variable I am declaring. Okay, this is of string type, I am not assigning any value now. Okay, ignore this for now. And I am assigning one more variable. Okay, variable procName equals to object dot key of this of 0. So what this statement will do, it will assign the currently executing stored procedure name to this procedure name. Suppose currently we are executing this procedure, right? Whenever we call this procedure, this name will be assigned to this variable name. Okay, this value proc load table counts will be assigned to this proc name, because I want to log. If you see here, I want to if there are any errors, I want to log those error details along with the proc name into this error log table, right? That's why I'm capturing the procedure name here. Proc name equals to, this is the syntax to get that procedure, executing procedure name. Okay, and I'm creating one more variable, procedure result, proc result. Okay, so currently I'm assigning a value successfully completed. Just ignore about this, we'll come to this later. Okay, and so you must have some idea on error handling. So in any language we use try catch block for error handling, right? So try will, if there are any errors, it will get the errors, and catch block uh, will, so if there are any errors in the try block, okay, we can handle them in the catch block. Okay, so here the variable we have declared err, right? So I'm using this variable to get if any errors in the try block. So I'm going to handle those errors in the catch block. Okay, by using this variable we'll see how to do this at the end. Okay, so inside the try block I'm writing the actual code. Okay, so the first thing is variable database equals to db. Okay, this is how we assign the variables or declare the variables. Okay, inside or outside anywhere. So if you want to declare a variable of string type or integer, any type of variable you can declare in JavaScript by using simple keyword called var, variable error equals to, this is a string type. If I want to assign an integer type variable error equals to 1, then by default no need to specify the data types in JavaScript. Based on the values we are assigning, it will take the default data types. Okay, so this is how we can assign, we can declare a variable or assign values to a variable. Okay, so in the first statement what I'm writing, variable database equals to db. Okay, so if you see here, db is the argument we are passing from the procedure. That means while executing the procedure, the caller will mention the database name where this procedure will be executed. Okay, I am getting the database name here, variable database equals to just simply db. Okay, and suppose if I want to load all the counts of a schema. Okay, let's see some schemas here. Okay, in Snowflake, just go to databases. Here I have three databases. Okay, suppose here we have many schemas, that's why I'm opening. So Snowflake sample data, if we see there are so many schemas. Okay, if I want to get the table counts from any of this schema, suppose let's open this. So inside this schema there are many tables. If you see here, there are so many tables here. Okay, so if I want to get count of each and every table from this schema, okay, first of all, I want to know what are all the tables present inside the schema, because we are passing just a table, just a database name and schema name as the inputs. So we are not passing any table name as the input. So first of all, we have to get all the tables inside this database and schema so that we can capture the counts later. So for that, I am writing a statement like select, okay, table catalog. Okay, from which table I am selecting this data. Okay, from, okay, so whatever the database we are passing here as an argument. Okay, that. So in JavaScript, if I want to concatenate the variables or concatenate different things, I have to just use plus symbol. Okay, suppose this is a string. Okay, this is the string, and this is simply a variable, so which we declared just now. Okay, so that's why I'm putting the string in quotes. Okay, so you can use single quotes or double quotes, or you can use this character. Okay, we can use anything, but I suggest this one only, because in our code we may write we may put strings with the quotes and double quotes, right? So that time it is difficult to handle those single quotes and double quotes. That's why if you put your string, okay, if your strings in these characters, in between these characters, it will be easy. Even though you put a single quote or double quotes in between, it will take as just a character, not a special symbol. Okay, so I am just selecting from this table, and in the information schema all table details will be there, right? That's why from this database, whatever we are passing from here, from the database, from information schema, in information schema a table will with the name tables will be there, and inside that there will be many fields, but I need only the database name, which is table catalog. Table schema is nothing but the schema and table name. Okay, so I want to get only the table names from this schema. That's why I'm just selecting table catalog, table schema, table name from this information schema dot tables, where table catalog equals to some question mark. We'll come to this later. Where table catalog equals to this one, and where table schema equals to this one. So my requirement is to get the list of tables from the specified database and schema, right? So I want to pass. I am passing this database and schema as arguments to this procedure. So here my table catalog should be DB, and the table schema should be the schema. So I'm not passing directly. We can pass even directly by using this plus symbol and variables. But I want to show you one more thing. So how to pass those the values dynamically. Okay. So that's how I am writing a statement like this. Here I am going to get all the list of the tables from the given database and schema. So i- in JavaScript, if we want to execute any statement, okay, if we want to execute any SQL statement, we need to write three statements. First one is the SQL statement which we want to execute. So assign that to a variable. Okay. Then uh, take one more variable. So this variable name equals to. So this is how we create the executable SQL statement. Okay. Snowflake dot create statement. Okay. And the SQL text is the keyword we have to mention. Okay. Snowflake dot create statement is the statement we are going to use to execute any to prepare any SQL statement, and SQL test is a some keyword. Okay, and here we have to mention actual SQL or the variable that contains the SQL to be executed. Okay, so I have already the SQL loaded into this variable, so I'm just simply putting here. And if you observe, we are just putting question marks here, right? So we want to pass values for this question mark. So how to pass? So by using binds, okay, by using this keyword binds, we can easily pass the database name and schema name as parameters to this SQL statement. Okay, so whichever we are passing first will be assigned to this first question mark, and whichever we are passing next will be assigned to this next question mark. So what will happen whenever Snowflake is preparing this SQL statement, it will pass, okay, DB to here, okay, table catalog, and SCH to here. Okay, so we are passing this DB and SCH from the procedure definition, if you see here. Okay, DB and SCH. And so my statement has been created. The executable Snowflake SQL statement has been created. Now I want to execute this statement. Here we are just creating the statement, not executing the statement. So how to execute this statement? Okay, so by using this another variable, okay, I'm just taking exe execute underscore this variable. We can put any variable names. There is no limitation to variable names. We can put any variable names. Just for our understanding, I'm just putting names like this. So table list, then table list statement, then execute table list statement. Okay, so how to execute? Simply this variable which contains the executable Snowflake statement dot execute. Okay, so this is the syntax to execute the above SQL. Okay, so now what will happen? after running through these three lines, this snowflake statement will be executed and it will fetch the list of the tables along with the database name and schema name. Okay, so this variable will hold the result of this statement. That's why we are assigning this result to this variable. This will hold. Okay, so now what we have to do, we have list of tables. Now suppose if there are 10 tables in that schema, all 10 tables will be stored inside this variable. Now I want to go through all the 10 tables and fetch the count for each and every table. Okay, that means I want to run same process for all the tables, for all the results available in this variable. Okay, so how to do that? In Snowflake we have a concept called looping. In any procedural languages there will be a concept called looping. So if we want to run the same logic through many times. Okay, so suppose if I have 10 tables listed here, I want to run my select count of star from the table name for 10 times, right? That's why I am simply writing a while loop. While, okay, execute table statement, execute table list statement, which is the variable we have stored all the results here, dot next. Okay, that means every time it will increment one value and it will get the next value. Suppose if there are 10 values in this variable, so this procedure, this while loop will be executed for 10 times. It will increment the loop and it will take the next value from that array. Okay, so what will happen? So suppose inside this while loop I am writing the actual select count of one this. So but before that I want to fetch the table. If I want to write a select count of star from any database or schema or table, first of all I need to fetch from which database, from which schema, from which table name I am going to fetch the count. So we have to extract this. So how to extract? Suppose if you see here, if you see the above code, we are extracting table catalog, table schema and table name, right? So this, the result of this has been stored in this variable. I want to fetch those values from this variable. So how to fetch? Simply by using get column value. So there is a function called get column value. So the statement will be like variable database name equals to, so this is the result variable we already where we stored the result, dot get column value. Okay, this is the syntax we have to use to get the value of that column. Okay, so and I'm, you can see from here table catalog, table schema and table name. So I'm assigning those values to, so table catalog to database name, table schema to schema name, okay, and table name to table name. So finally I have all the things required to execute my count statement. Now as I explained above, so I need to prepare again three statements like this. So the first statement is the important one. Select count of one as count. Okay, select count of one as count from, okay, the database name. So I already told if we want to pass variables in the variable in this, okay, we just need to put a plus symbol. Okay, so this is the string and this is the variable plus, so we have to put database name dot. Okay, that's why dot schema name dot, okay, table name. So this will look like select count of one from database name dot schema name dot table name. What it will give? The count of the table. So if there are 1000 records in the table, so 1000 will be assigned to this variable. Okay, so like that I'm creating a executable Snowflake SQL statement and executing that by using execute function. Okay, after end of these three statements, okay, the count will be stored in this. Okay, so how to fetch that count? Okay, it's simple. So if there is a single value in this variable, by using this concept, okay, execute row count statement dot next. Okay, and I already explained how to get the column value. If there is a single value, simply we can put whatever the value, whatever the column name we have given here, cnt as we have given, right? That's why variable row count equals to, So this variable contains the result, that means contains the count of the table. Okay, so a variable row count equals to this result dot get column value of count. So finally the row count will be stored in the, for this table row count, this table row count, okay, will be stored in the row count variable. Okay, now we have to insert these row counts into our final target table, that is daily table counts. That is our use case, right? So we have created this table in our first step. Okay, so with this fields, now we got the row counts, but we have to insert those row counts into a different table, that is our final target table, daily table counts. So we have to prepare three statements again for executing this insert query. So first let's see how the insert query looks like. Okay, it is like insert into this table daily table counts. Okay, and the fields in this table are load time, database name, schema name, and table name, and table count. Okay, and the values I am inserting are, so current timestamp when we are executing this procedure, okay, is the load time, and the database name, so whatever we are fetching here from the above query, so that is the database name, and the schema name, table name, and the row count we have derived in the above step. Okay, I am inserting these values. Okay, so here I am preparing this SQL statement, then I am creating the Snowflake executable SQL statement here by using Snowflake.create statement, and finally I am executing this. Okay, so whenever we execute this final statement, what will happen? A row will be inserted into this table. Okay, and for the first table, a row will be inserted with the table count. So like that, we are repeating this for all the tables present in this variable. Okay, the for all the tables present in the given database and schema, we are executing this by using while loop. So at the end of this while loop, the table count will be derived and it will be inserted into this table. Suppose we have some 15 tables in this in the given database and schema, so there will be 15 entries in the final target table with all 15 table row counts. Okay, so this is our try block code. Okay, suppose if there are any errors in this try block code. Okay, so how to capture that? I want to make sure, even though there are some errors in the procedure, I want to make sure procedure should not fail, but it should log the errors into a different table. Okay, that is in our first step we have created the proc error log table also, right? Along with the final target table, we have created a table for logging all the errors occurring during the procedure run. Okay, so now let's see how to do this. So in any general procedural language, so we use try catch block, right? So try is used to execute all the statements, and if there are any errors in this try block statements, okay, so those will be catched and there will be they will be handled in the catch block. Okay, suppose earlier I have created one variable, right? Empty variable, error variable error equals to this one. Now if there are any errors in the try block, I am logging those errors into err variable. Okay, how to do that? It's simply we have to do catch of error. That means whatever the error we are getting in the above part of code, I am getting that into err variable. So here I am using simply err. So you can use any variable name. So simply you can use ABC like that, whatever it is. Okay, but by using this only, we are going to get the error code, error message, and error line number. Okay, let's see how to do that. Okay, so again we have to execute one SQL statement. For that we have to prepare three statements, right? So the first one is preparing the insert statement, because whatever the error we are getting in the above code, I want to insert that error details into the error log table. Okay, so how to fill this error log table? Let's see. Insert into this error log table, and the fields I have here are procedure name, runtime, error code, error message, and error line number. Okay, and the values I am inserting. So for the procedure name, so I'm simply giving this proc name. So we have derived this proc name, right? So this is the name of the procedure currently we are executing. Okay, and then the current timestamp as the load time. Whenever we are executing the stored procedure, that timestamp we are inserting into runtime. And error code. So how to get this error code? So whatever the error we are catching here in the catch block, so there will be some details in this variable. So one of the that is error code. So how to fetch that error code? Simply this variable name dot code, err dot code. Okay, so as this is a variable, I am not putting it in quotes. I am joining this. I am concatenating this by using plus symbols. Okay, so this is the error code. Then we have to insert the error message also. So how to get the error message? Okay, simple, err dot message. But if I want to handle any single quotes or double quotes inside this error message, okay, I can put some code over here. Replace. I am just replacing all the single quotes with the empty character. Okay, so that our insert query will not fail. Okay, so I am just getting the error message and loading it, mapping it to error message field. Okay, and the error line number. How to get the error line number? It is simply this error variable dot stack trace txt. Okay, so this is the variable we are using to print the line number, or we are using this variable to get the line number where it is. Suppose the error is there at the 10th line number, 10th line, at which position the error is there, it will show. Okay, like this we can frame our insert query, and we can prepare this snowflake executable sql statement here, and finally we can execute by using this execute query. Okay, so once this statement is completed, what will happen? One entry will be inserted into this error log table where the error is, where the first error occurs. Okay, there only the procedure fails, right? That entry will be inserted into this table. Okay, so let's come to the final part. Okay, so proc result equals to, if you remember, initially we have declared one variable, proc result equals to successfully completed. So initially what I am doing, so I am simply assigning one variable and assigning value successfully completed to this. Okay, suppose in our procedure there are no errors, the procedure was completed successfully. In that case it will not enter into catch block, right? So it will directly jump to the end of the catch block. So it will print return proc result. So what is the proc result we are setting here? Successfully completed. So it will print at the end, it will return the value as successfully, procedure successfully created. Simply, suppose if there are any errors in the procedure, what will happen? The cursor will go to catch block. Okay, so the flow will go to catch block. Inside the catch block, after making this entry into the error log table, what I am setting? So I am setting proc result equals to failed. I am setting one message like failed. So procedure failed. Please check procedure error log table. Okay, this table for more error details. For error details or for more details. So like this, I am printing a message. So that means whenever if there are any errors in this try block in the actual code, okay, so that error details will be inserted into this table. At the same time, it will assign this value, failed value, to this proc result, and it will return this proc result. That means whenever the procedure fails, it will throw us this message like the procedure was failed. You can check the error log table for more details, like this. Okay, if there are no any errors, then the flow will not go to cache block at all. So what is the initial value of this proc result? It is successfully completed, so it will simply print successfully completed. Okay, so this is our procedure, simple JavaScript stored procedure. Okay, so let's create this procedure. Then we'll show you how to call this procedure or how to execute this procedure. Okay, let's come back to Snowflake. Okay, so I'm creating this procedure under my proc schema of my own DB database. Okay, so I'm running this. So it is saying function procedure load table count successfully created. Even though we are creating a procedure here, it is saying function. Don't confuse, this is a procedure. Okay, there are some minor differences between function and procedure that we'll see in differentiation. Okay, for now don't confuse, this is a stored procedure and we have created it. Now, okay, so how to call this procedure? Okay, so we are done with the creation of the procedure, and our main at the our end goal is to get the table counts into one table, right? And we are passing this some database name and schema name as the input to this stored procedure. So the call statement looks like, okay, like this call, okay, the procedure name, and we have to pass the database name and the schema name as the inputs. So what will happen at the end? So in this database, in this schema, so if there are 10 tables, all the for all the 10 tables, it will calculate the row count for all the 10 tables, and entries will be inserted into one count table. Okay, we'll see that in practical in a few minutes. Okay, so this is how we can call any stored procedure. Simply call stored procedure name and the parameters or arguments we have to pass. Okay, so let's see. Okay, we'll execute this procedure. What will happen, we'll see. Okay, so I'm just making some worksheets here. Okay, for simplicity, so just to maintain my code, I am creating some worksheets for creating tables one worksheet, for creating the actual stored procedure one worksheet, and calling the stored procedures and validating the data one worksheet, like that. Okay, so this is our call statement. So my goal is I want to get the row counts of all tables that present in the Snowflake sample data database and TPCH SF1 schema. So if you want to check the same, okay, so here you can see the databases. There are three databases, and I want to get from this Snowflake sample data, and the schema is TPCH SF1. Okay, suppose I just entered into this schema, and let's check. Suppose the customer table count. Okay, it is 150k rows. Line item, it is 6 million rows. Okay, so nation, it is just 25 rows. Okay, so initially check this table details. Okay, what are the data present in this our final target table? I'm just checking what is the data present in this table. So as we did not load any data as of now, it is showing query produced no results. That means there is no data in the table. Now let's execute this statement. Okay, and let's see what will happen. So I have triggered the procedure. It is taking some time to execute. Okay, and it is saying successfully completed. Okay, that means so our procedure did not go to catch block at all, so it was successfully completed. So just to validate, let's go to this table and again run the query. Select star from the daily table counts. Okay, so you can see here now there is some data. There are total 8 rows. That means, so if you see here in this schema, there are 8 tables. For all the 8 tables, the count you can see. So the load time, which is just now, okay, the database name, the schema name, the table name, and the table count. So we have seen in the customer table, in the orders table, there are 150k records. Okay, so you can see here, and in the nation table, so you can see here in the nation table there are 25 rows. Okay, and suppose let's see the part supplier table, 800k records are there. So let's go to part supplier. So you can see 800k records are there in this table. That means our procedure is working fine, and it is fetching the row counts for all the tables from the given database and given schema. Okay, so this is success scenario. Okay, I just want to show you what will happen if there are any errors in the stored procedure. Okay, so let's see, let's make some change to the stored procedure. Okay, so let's put some wrong statement here, and we'll execute the procedure again. Okay, so I want to modify some SQL query. So randomly I'm taking this query. Okay, we'll do some modification to this query. So instead of select count, I'm taking just counted. I'm changing the keyword from count to counted. Okay, so I'm creating or replacing the stored procedure again. So as I mentioned, create or replace, the procedure will be replaced. Okay, so now you can see function successfully created. Okay, so now let's go back to call procedure and try to execute one more statement, one more this one. So for this we have already got the table counts. Now suppose for this database, let's go to databases. There is my own database and there is a schema called public. So in the public there are many tables if you see. Okay, so I want to get the counts for this. Okay, that's why I mentioned the database name as my own db and the schema as public. So let's execute this. Okay, so it is running. Okay, so we got the message. So the stored procedure failed. Check proc error log table for error details. Okay, that means so we made some change, right? So we have changed the keyword from count to counted. So it is saying because of that procedure was failed, and you can check the error log table for error details. So let's go to this error log table and get the data from there. So you can see one entry made, and if you look at the timestamp, it is just now the this record was inserted. So the procedure name is whatever we just triggered, proc load table counts. Okay, proc load table counts, and the error code is something like 2140, and the error message, if you see here, so SQL compilation error, unknown function counted. So there is a function called count, but there is no function called counted. That's why it is throwing the error. So by just looking at that, we can correct our procedure, right? Okay, and it is saying so error line number. So it is saying at line number 23 and at position 43 there is some error, it is saying. Okay, so by looking at this error log table we can easily understand where the actual error is. Okay, so now let's correct that procedure and execute it again. Okay, so where we made that change, here select counted, right? So I'm changing it back to select count. Okay, I'm recreating the procedure. So the procedure created. Now let's come back here and run this statement. Okay, so execute this for my own db and public schema. So it is taking some time to run because it has to fetch the counts from multiple tables, right? So now it is saying procedure successfully completed. Okay, so let's validate the data. Okay, select star from my own db, public dot daily table counts. Okay, so you can see, like, so earlier when we executed this for this database and this schema, these rows were inserted. You can check the timestamp even. So this ran some 5 minutes back and this inserted just now. So my own db public, and these are the tables. Okay, suppose if you want to check the same, if you want to validate the same, suppose in the employee emp data table there are 400 rows. So if you want to validate the same, go to my own db. Okay, public tables, so emp data. So here it is saying 400 rows. Okay, 400. Okay, customer table 100. Okay, customer table 100. So our procedure is working very fine. Okay, so this is how we can write stored procedures in Snowflake by using JavaScript. It's very simple, I can say. Okay, so you just have to know the basics of JavaScript and basics of some SQL. Okay, you can easily write the stored procedures. Okay, so for learning JavaScript, I already mentioned, so you can use any online compilers. Okay, so it's very simple to practice here, and there are a lot of materials available over Google. Okay, if you just type uh, JavaScript help, you will get so many. So let me teach you for 5 minutes so how to do the basic things which are required for Snowflake scripting. Okay, Snowflake stored procedures. Suppose if I want to assign a variable, like suppose variable, Okay, I want to declare one variable message equals to, okay, so I want to write what I can write, welcome to JavaScript. Okay, say hello to JavaScript. I'm creating one variable message and I'm assigning the value this one, welcome to JavaScript, say hello to JavaScript. Okay, so now I want to print the same. So how to print? So I can just print by using console.log. So I want to print the message. Okay, so see here. So you can see message, welcome to JavaScript, say hello to JavaScript. Okay, this is very simple. Now let's see some basic branching statement and looping statement. For example, I want to list out the numbers from 1 to 10, only even numbers from 1 to 10. Okay, we'll write a short code for this. I want to display all the even numbers from 1 to 10. So how can we do that? So if you have some basic idea on any programming languages, it is very easy. For statement we can use for looping, for variable I equals to 1. Okay, I less than or equals to 10, because I want to print only till 10. Okay, and I can increment by using I plus plus. Okay, so now I want to print only even numbers. So how we can decide the even numbers? If it is divisible by 2, okay, it is a even number. If it is not divisible by 2, so it's a odd number. So how to do that? We have to check if condition. If, okay, I modulus 2 equals to 0. Okay, what that means? So I want to log by using console.log I. Okay, so very simple. Now let me execute this. Okay, so here you can get the basics of for loop, how to use for loop and how to use a branching statement like if. Okay, I am running it. So it is run for I equals to 1. Okay, so I'm running it. So you can see 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. It is printing all the even numbers. Okay, so which is very easy. Suppose I want to do some string handling. Suppose I want to print each character from this message by using for loop. How to do that? It's very simple. For, suppose let's take another variable j, variable j in simply message. Okay, message, and console.log I want to log message of j. Okay, so this is my statement. Okay, so let's run this. What will happen, we'll see. So you can see, so it is printing the message for the first console.log. It is printing the actual message, then it is printing this 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay, then you can see the message was printed character by character in separate lines. welcome, welcome to Java script, like this it is printing. So it's very easy to work with some basic JavaScript things like variables. Okay, branching, looping, and some. So if you want to see some replacements, how to do string handling. Okay, suppose I want to replace something from this. How to do that? Variable a equals to, okay, I want to replace from message dot replace. Okay, so I want to replace some word globally. So let's see what word we can replace here. Welcome to JavaScript. So here two is there. I want to replace two. Okay, globally, that means all occurrences of two I want to replace with suppose for. Okay, so this is the code for replacing. Now I want to print console.log a. Okay, so let's remove this for confusion to check the output. Okay, so let me run this again. So now you can see this is the actual message and this is the replaced message. To was replaced with for. Okay, welcome for JavaScript. Say hello for JavaScript. So like this we can do string handling. So we just need to learn basic variable things, looping, branching, and some basic mathematic functions, basic string handling functions. They are enough to write procedures in Snowflake. Okay, this is very easy, and you can use any compiler, online compiler like this for learning JavaScript. Okay. Okay, that's it guys from this session. In the next session, definitely I'll show you how to write stored procedures in the Snowflake scripting, that is by using SQL. So if we want to do row by row processing, so we are using what we are using here. Okay, so we are using a statement like this, executable table list statement dot next. In SQL, if you want to do row by row processing, you know already, so we can use cursors. Okay, we'll show that in the next session. Okay, and I'm going to attach this table DDL procedure and call statements in the description of this YouTube video. Okay, you can get from there for your practice. And if you have any doubts in writing stored procedures in Snowflake by using SQL or JavaScript, you can ask me. If I have time, definitely I'll help you. Okay, thank you guys. Bye.